Uh-huh. You said, what was your
The beginning of a new day.
Uh-huh.
Dealing with Orion's belt and the sun. So it says here, Sahat Hassan, Orion's belt pushing the dust of the earth as dung toward that sun, the beginning of a new day. Now the dust and
dust is fine.
the pushing of the dust.
Dust is fine vapors. Now the pushing force is the soul. The word soul means a pushing force. So if the biggest soul is air, where do you find dust?
In there.
You find it in air. So you're dealing with soul being a consumer, if you may, of the ingredient known as oxygen. Because when you deal with life itself, you are dealing with, because mostly dust is oxygenated. They call it oxides, right? When you breathe, you create carbon dioxides, right? Mm-hmm. Thus, you create vapors. You create reflections of fires. You create dioxides. And by saying that, you are creating a vapor. So you are creating dust when you breathe.
Does that have anything to do with ether?
That's right. Everything that happens physical has an opposite of equal spiritual. That means that it has an etheric double. And opposite of equal means positive. The word positive means opposite and yet equal.
So you're dealing with an astral type, something you can see outside the body, the light, shade that's seen outside of the body, which would be called the astral.
And inside the body. Remember, air is outside the body and you're trying to trap it inside the body.
So dealing with the astral, and you can take a slight moment to view an aura of a person, and that could be that person's astral, right, Brother Quran?
When we say astro, you're saying the same root word as bio. The word bio and astro is the same word. So biology is astrology and bionomy is astronomy. So your bio body is your astro body. That's your real body. You are an antibody. That's the best way to say it. And you are trying to occupy a body. See? So thus you were taken from the dust of the ground.
Well, where are we from?
You are from the breath of life. Remember, he said he blew the breath of life into man. And man became a what? A living soul. Now, so you are becoming, or you became, one or the other, a living soul. That's what you are. That's the substance that you are. And so if the biggest soul is air.
What about the babies inside of the mother's womb living off water?
Living off water with what? With gills. Thus, they are still living off air. That's right.
So they're breathing their oxygen.
They still a soul.
The water through the H2O.
That's right.
The hydrogen and the oxygen from the mother.
See, we can break down what a soul is. Let's go to what a soul is, so we'll know.
Okay.
See, when you deal with the soul, it says exactly what time at what hour will the Son of Man come? The answer is truth is unconscious. The day you accept the truth, he will come. For this reason, what does it say? You also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. You don't think when unconscious. That's called truthful. And that's the product of breathing out and breathing in, right? Breathing out, breathing in. It means, so what's so secret about resurrection? The secret is both Elisha and Elijah, who are the same according to perception, raised beings from the dead. Which means that 7 sneezes indicate 7 oxidations or air conditions to produce one soul. And the mother, she has 7 sneezes that help produce your breathing process during her pregnancy. See, so these 7 sneezes. See, sneezing plays a major part in spiritual development. It said, is it possible to escape the grave? Which way is heaven? One soul is called 7 ethers or 7 spirits. See, we touched on that ether. Air condition is identified as acid. Air condition identification. ACID. Air condition unit is an AC unit, right? So you can identify each condition of air. And you call that atmosphere, right? The Quran spoke about the atmospheres or the heavens. So these 7 heavens, you clump together and call it souls. You have 7 souls, but all of them you call a soul. That's how you look at it. It's one thing.
Is that those souls connected to the 7 bodies of man? Because they spoke of like 7 bodies of man. Like, is there such thing as an etheric body?
Yeah, because we're dealing with the spiritual body. The 7 acids, right? There you go. Or potential hydrogens. 7 pH produces 1 alkaline. Right? Light soul. So zombies are people who lack alkalinity. So we're talking about the breath and the soul. When you lose your soul, that's what makes you dead. Not when you hit the grave. The grave is the second death. That's the final death. Your first death is when you lose your emotions, when you lose your spirit, when you lose your soul. And you can be, it don't matter how old you are. You know, and so when you deal with these customs, you learn that we are a lot of things. We are air drawn in, muscles between ribs, pulling rib cages and sternum up and down. See that rib cage, keep up with the breathing processes. Keep up with that breathing process. Because the grave simply means gravity. And whoever escapes gravity escapes the grave. Sunlight or soul light is levitational. So that's the only way to escape the grave. You ain't coming out the grave. The only way to escape the grave is to levitate.
You spoke of it's an ageless possibility, per se, in terms of one being soulless. How is that so if one is young?
Well, that's the soul of another person. Remember, you are 1/3 of one parent, another third of another parent, and then 1/3 of a clump of them both, or randomness, called the environment. All right. So, with that being said, that randomness isn't acquired until you are fully born from your mother. Like when she ejects you, that's when the environment gives you that full 1/3 outside of your parents. They call it 33% of your DNA or your acids. When you say acids, you're saying, again, atmospheric pressures or atmospheres that you share with everybody else. So one of the environments. So you have 7 environments. The real name for soul is pushing force or your pressure, your thermal conductivity that you have applied on the environment. That's what you're saying. And you are trying to centralize it in the body. See, you're trying to keep it in the body, and it keeps shooting back out. And that disagreement is called harmony. That's a harm. And so you create harmonics because you are harming yourself to keep this thing going. You're literally harming this body to keep it going. To keep yourself a breathing tube to filter your emotions through. That's what you're trying to do. Remember, energy and motion is soul. But energy and motion without any filter of any kind is chaos. And so order itself is the realm where pain can be filtered.
So does it has anything to do with your bodily organ?
That's right. Because all bodily organs and all bodily functions are ultimately external happenings that you encapsulate, right, as esoteric happenings, meaning you bring them down to earth. The word esoteric means down to earth. That's what it means.
I'm listening.
So when they say that we're going to make things esoteric or we're going to drop the esoteric, they're saying we're going to bring it down to earth. And so everything that fell from heaven comes down to earth.
I thought esoteric was more so.
It is. That's the truth. That's how I know where you going. I know it's. I'm right there on your mind. Being an inner type
Yeah.
You know what you say?
They were.
Just what he just explained it. It came down. So
Like
when you
invocation.
like invocation, so if it came down and esoteric meaning having the meaning of inner, whatever came down in your bodily organs is the inner working. So say for instance when you shock this nervous system, that's an inner thing that takes place in every organ or every vital part of yourself is shocked. Not just one part, every part. Am I right?
That's right.
So at that point, is that you saying that is the electrical part into the organs? That part brings some form of like electricity or bringing the body to life.
Well, it's basically, remember, life is a burning, right? Which means that you're taking things that decayed and you are fueling off of them. You are, see, what you call life is productivity from biofuels. Remember, bio is astro. Everything that's astrological becomes biological through the ecological system, through the environment, right? What's the root word of eco? Echo.
Echo.
And ak is the root of that, which means to split or cut. So, your brother's always picking at you. Man, keep messing with me. That's your ak in Arabic, in Hebrew, things of that nature. So, this is a splinter system. Things are splicing through. The sun radiation is radiating like how the microwave does, and it's splicing through atoms. So and it's cutting through the air. You don't see the dust. It's a vapor. However, as it condenses, it turns into precipitation. Think over that. You sip it once it's precipitation, but he turns into precipitation. It turns into a state where you can't sip it yet. But once it get down, and thus the first place where that was major, we called it the Mississippi. It was a sipping of precipitation that we didn't see. Where did this water come from? See, we miss this precipitation. We miss, who caused this to rain over here? Because normally in the West, all of the land was dried up from the civilizations being destroyed. They call it the Wild Wild West for a reason.
Yeah, I know that.
Trillions of years of destruction took place in the West. See? And so they try to hide here, and most of the people that hung out here got evicted. Thus, your holy tablets teach about how during 999 AD, keep that in mind, because 666 AD, keeps up with something. But 999 AD keeps up with who? The eviction of Quetzalcoatl from South America. Inky was evicted from the planet in 999 AD from South America. So study those references so we can see how wherever there's a civilization that was destroyed, there's a mountain there. And the word for ancestor in the root meanings is mountain or moon. See? Or moon tanin. See, which means a certain living creature or worm from the moon.
You spoke of a little bit earlier also on rays.
Right.
And you went to...
There's no such thing as light rays or sun rays. The word ray in physics was basically, what's the way to put it? It was a code word. See, it was only hypothetically speaking. It was not literally. So when we describe rays, we are not talking about things that are just traveling in straight lines. When you say they travel in straight line, if you read a sentence above it, you always see what people say, we imagine that it does this. See? Or in theory it does this. Not in truth or in evidence. Evidence is real. It's based on what's relative and what's reliable. And they haven't did that with rays. However, you can tie it into if you're imagining how electromagnetics work.
I got to go.
Yes, sir.
I got to go with force.
Because you're seeing color, which is calories. You're seeing energy in motion that you are perceiving as light. That means that things are getting heavier. And as they get heavier, because remember, you got a weight on it. Remember, what I mean by, hold on, 1 minute. When I say weight, W-A-I-T, right? Right? Water it has to pass through a certain amount of levels of atmospheres and waters, right? And vapors and dust. And then you finally see it. But you see it 8 minutes to 20 seconds later. The source of the light is the sun, right? That's 93 million miles away from you. So you see that 8 minutes to 20 seconds late. So every time you see light, that's what you're seeing. All right. With that being said, there's still other lights that you haven't caught. Because your eyes don't even are not lazy enough. You would have to stare at it long enough, and they would have to get lazy, literally, and you would have to wait, and then it accumulates weight, and see, it's no longer light because you.
But it's adding pressure to your eyes.
As it's adding pressure, it's no longer light. See what I'm saying? It's light as you perceive it, but as it produces pressure, it's no longer light. Now it's weight. It's getting heavier.
Cause blindness at the same time?
I'm saying you call it heaven, right?
Yeah.
That means it's getting heavier.
Could it cause blindness?
No, follow me. Yeah, it can. Right. Staring at the sun, right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying you can gaze at the sun, take a little light at a time. Because remember, if you lift a little bit at a time, even though it's heavy, it'll seem light. But if you just lift it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the semantics I'm playing with is the word heaven. See, it's things that have gotten heavy after waiting a certain amount of time. So when Allah created himself for 6 trillion years, right, to develop that brain system, membrane system, he had to wait. So he started off with something light, and he accumulated, and he was no longer light. And he got heavier and heavier. Thus, it's a relationship between the word light and things that have weight that you consider light versus heavy. If it's heavy, that means it's weighted longer to produce itself.
The chart, insertion markings, how it starts with the atom.
Oh yeah.
And then breaks all the way down.
Yes, sir.
You have 48 to 96 to.
Because the key word is periodic table. Now,
No, listen.
Hold on, check me out.
The atoms.
All right, I got
one
you.
atom, that
But-
was Allah.
but when you
one
say-
atom,
yeah.
And then as you go down,
That was
he
Allah.
caused weight.
But the key word is period.
Yeah, but more atoms accumulated over time, causing that weight.
Periodically.
And
So,
it forced
yeah.
worlds to be built from that absolute world.
It forced periods
If
to be
Allah's
built.
absolute,
Right. He's the period.
yeah, then you have other worlds underneath them. In order for you to reach God,
Right.
you have to go through all. You have to master all these worlds.
Right.
Master Prophet Muhammad mastered all the world.
And he taught us how.
Yes. Now there's one. I'm gonna back you up.
All right.
Okay. Boiling creates equilibrium vapor pressure called vaporation, which travels from the melting effects of dissolved materials on the freezing point, and in effect on pressure on the freezing point, creating capillarity. Caught me. The original man and children are. This is my point. The original man and children are free, essentially, in the universe with and without God. Man is obligated to choose responsibly. That's my key point. Is with or without God and being responsible.
Yeah, we have the ability to respond. He gave us that. We are made in and after his image. Which means what? That whatever all is, we are also. Call it also. See? Now, you say as above, so below, everywhere else around you. That corresponds with the main word, you. The Asiatic word for universe is YU. You. Universe. You are the God of the universe, right?
Right.
All right. So, with or without God, what do I mean by that? You only don't have God when you don't know who you are. Thus, you'll believe in God, which means to be and leave at the same time.
Be and leave.
Yeah, or to be at leave. That means absence. To be the absence of God. To be.
So it's no longer belief. It has to be a knowing.
A knowing, right? Knowing, right?
You can't believe.
That's right.
Because to back up what you're saying, be and leaving, for one, he says be and it is.
Right.
But if you leave, you can leave God behind and forget all about it.
Well, you can try to, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be in the back of your mind, But when you were a child, you had no responsibility. You didn't know nothing about God.
Yep.
I mean, every being in this planet submits and is humble. But it has to be taught and trained.
Periodic. Based on the laws of periodics. Thus the word Adam, right?
So
Which is another name of Allah.
If you never knew, if you was in a tribe that never knew nothing about God,
Right.
and you lived in the jungle, believe or be in leaving wouldn't exist for you due to the customs.
You be united,
yeah, of your people and how you were raised. So someone has to come and civilize you to let you know about God and that He exists, and this is how you're here, and this is how you were created. But if your tribe didn't have that belief system and they lived off the land, you would never know nothing.
Right.
So
Which
you can
is
never
it.
be a hypocrite. You can never
You're innocent.
be a disbeliever.
You're
You can
innocent.
never. Yeah,
Right.
there we go.
You're not even dumb, deaf, or blind.
Nothing.
Because you're not dumb, deaf, and blind until you heard and don't hear. Until you see and don't notice. See? Until you literally comprehend but yet ignore. That's so the real 85% is not people who haven't heard the teachings. It's people who have.
Who have heard the teachers before.
That's the 85%.
Oh, God, that's talking. You know, that hits home because that
And they-
that
and they-
hits me too. That hits all of us because.
Yeah, because we've heard the teachings.
Because you have a
fight.
fight.
If you doubt the teaching, there comes a time when Allah will test you.
Right. We all will be tested. Remember the final test, the final exam, Allah Himself does it. But we are the root of Allah. See?
And this is where you get that in the hadith where you start arguing with it. You will argue. and
I'm saying the
debate
final
your
exam-
God. You will debate your God.
The final exam.
You're going to lose. You're
It's-
going to
it's
lose.
when
the
you
debate.
exam
But
everything.
there's hadith scripture that says that we will be arguing with Allah. Now, He's most merciful and He's slow to anger.
Well, I'm kind of, you gotta be careful with the hadith. The Quran said it was a sufficient hadith for us.
No, I'm just using that as reference.
I got you.
To how
Yeah.
when we're
Right.
tested.
Some people will.
It's like I'm your father.
Some people will.
I'm God to you. I'm your father. I
people
created
will.
you. My genes are in you. You come from me.
Man.
But
Remember,
your
Iblis-
child raises up to your son raises up.
Iblis
to buck
argue
up.
with him.
Yeah, you argued with him.
You know. So that's but
Your son's gonna buck up at you one day. He's gonna want to test his manhood.
Yeah.
So who is he gonna go test but his dad? And if God or Allah is the source of all things, who do we have to challenge us at the wise? We think we know everything. Who do we have to challenge but He?
yeah, Allah is a tribe. Let me state that. Allah who was always introduced to people in a pluralistic state. And the confusion is when they remove the word, the sense of the word ness away from the word one. Allah's oneness. Remember, the first pillar, right, in the so-called Islam was belief in the oneness.
The one God.
The oneness.
The oneness.
We have more, it's more people that mention oneness. Oh,
Yes.
and-
Yes, in the
yeah,
Quran it does say
that
we.
ness.
It does say it says they in the Quran. They, us, and we. So it took. not
And
only-
he mentioned you.
Yeah.
He says it's gonna be, we're gonna do things for you.
And
Remember, you gonna be Khalifa.
And another one.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
I is another word used in the Quran.
You, we,
I am
us.
the best knower, or Allah is the best knower.
So that word,
Us is
yeah.
yours.
Us, yes, we.
So all of that is periodic. So thus, that periodic table is dealing with how Allah took hydrogen, which is nothing, and He made He made it sum up to all of these things. So He took some of that.
So
He took some hydrogen, and so when you take some hydrogen, you make helium. When you take some hydrogen, you make lithium. When you take some hydrogen, you make beryllium. When you take some hydrogen, you make boron. When you take some hydrogen, You make carbon. When you take some hydrogen, you keep. You know what I'm saying?
No, but there's another thing though.
Tons of elements.
Each individual.
That's the root word of something.
Each individual should have a goal.
Right.
And that's to reach that state of God.
Some
Of a thing.
of a thing.
So you take of nothing. The first thing you will ever have is no thing. In order to create, you take that thing, which is no thing. See? Which is not a water. Water is considered nothing.
I want to add on to what you were saying about.
Yeah.
Now, when you there's a goal that should be set for each and every man, because John Muhammad, peace be upon him, say Islam is a religion of man. He didn't say just man and man. He said man, even mankind himself, man. So